You're listening to Conferences Online Allergy Special Wednesday Evening Edition. I'm your host, Dr. Jay Portnoy from Children's Mercy Hospitals and Clinics in Kansas City, Missouri. Coming up next, a conversation with the Vice President of the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology, Dr. Dana Wallace, who will update us on what's new online. A little later, we'll talk with Kevin Kennedy, Director of Environmental Health at Children's Mercy Hospitals and Clinics in Kansas City, about environmental assessment and remediation. At this point, I'd like to welcome Dr. Dana Wallace. Dr. Wallace is a clinical assistant clinical professor at Nova Southeastern University in Davie, Florida. She also happens to be the Vice President of the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology. And Dr. Wallace has taken on the daunting task of redesigning and directing the redesign of the American College of Allergy website. She's also taken on the task of redesigning the website for the Joint Task Force on Practice Parameters. So you've got your hands full, Dr. Wallace. Welcome to Conferences Online for Allergy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jay, and I'm happy to join the group. In terms of muting, for my particular presentation, they may want to leave the lines open because I want this to be more interactive based on the nature of the discussion we'll be having. So for this particular one, perhaps it's best to be left open. Good. So tonight we want to talk a little bit about the college, the American College of Asthma, Allergy, and Immunology, and the Joint Task Force of Practice Parameters, websites, and more, as I have indicated. We want to explore the need for an affordable, evidence-based medical education system that changes behavior and benefits patient care. Now, we want to direct our attention particularly to web-based learning and CME. We will then go and talk about the objectives of the new website that we are developing for the college. I will introduce you, if you don't or are not familiar with the Joint Task Force, how it's formed, its activities, and the new website that we hope to be very friendly to our community, medical community at large. And then a little emphasis on get involved, if you're not already doing so, in one of our college committees. Now, I pulled this just off the internet a few minutes ago, and it demonstrates for us certainly that we're making news. The stimulus bill passes the Congress, the House today, $819 billion stimulus bill. We certainly know that the world economic crisis has been like a roller coaster, but every slump gets deeper and every heap gets higher and it just keeps going down. Not a good thing at all. And as we look at the United States, we are certainly convinced we have a mortgage crisis and maybe Congress is sort of throwing money in the air and then we, the taxpayer, are probably holding the bucket for these expenses. But maybe the same thing's happening in your office. Here's your office manager. I've adapted this little cartoon just a little bit. And your office manager is telling you, we're projecting a profit, but not within our lifetimes. And I'm sure that many of you may feel that way in your own office. And the confidence in the medical system isn't too good. It's a little bit better than HMOs. If you look at HMOs, they're about 12%. But the medical system overall is about 35%. On the other hand, if you happen to be in the military, the confidence there is 70+%. So we're not doing so well. And why am I bringing up all these issues? It's because it impacts our continuing medical education. Our pharmaceutical companies, large corporations, are really not making the profit they once did. That means that they have less money to devote to our education. And we know it takes a lot of money to train a doctor, and it takes a lot of money to continue training the doctor, particularly if we will be bearing a higher percent of that dollar. And as you can see, it's the coins that's coming into the hands of the doctor, and it's the wallet and the bills that are going out. So I think that if we want to perfect this practice of medicine, we do need first the intellectual curiosity and the personal initiative to acquire the new knowledge so that we can then have a behavior change in our professionals, hopefully leading to behavior change in our patients. We need a lifelong learning to make a difference for our patients. And we've talked about the fact that economically, getting to conferences, buying all those new textbooks, and being spoon-fed may not be so inexpensive as we start to see that we will be bearing a higher price for this education. And I think that brings us into what we are participating in this evening, and that is more and more will be based on online for continuing medical education. We just need to develop it. We need to spread the news to our colleagues that, I mean, here's an excellent conference that Dr. Villery just prepared, yet how many were online? Very few. Hopefully we can increase that number. We can then archive in a podcast so that this information can become available at very low to no cost to our physicians, and it will start to enable us to deliver very effective medical education. We've already spoken about the fact that you can go to iTunes and use that as your vehicle for downloading the podcast. We also have another very excellent media, and that's the Reach MDXM radio. And I would encourage each of you to look at the topics. They're usually announced in the e-newsletter that comes out every 2 weeks as to who will be delivering the next topic. And tune in to Channel 157 and ask your friends, your colleagues in other fields to also do the same and allow them to be educated in the field of allergy. We've heard about the podcast and the vodcast. We know our annual convention has some of those available. I think a very worthwhile goal is to have all of our conferences from the convention placed on podcast and vodcast, and for these to be archived to where we will then be able to continue to listen to these on an ongoing basis as long as they're current for at least 2 to 3 years. Currently, that is not the case. They are pharmaceutical sponsored, but for a very limited period of time, so we don't have them for archived indefinitely. And we also have a new website, and I think that Dr. Richard Gower, our president, will be coming on and discussing in very much detail on a future program, but I did want to call your attention to it this evening. And the campaign is Find an Allergist, Find Relief. And we have a large multi-million-dollar marketing campaign in the College of Allergy, and this is to help our patients, our clients, as well as our allergists to be involved in caring for those allergy patients, hopefully driving those patients to the best person that can take care of their illness, who is you, the allergist. We are hoping to develop the allergist brand and messages that demonstrate the benefit of a care under an allergist. Now, let's go to that website and let's just take a look around. Is there anyone online who so far has not visited that website? Let me ask that question first. Have all of you been there?
No, actually, I haven't had a chance to check it out yet.
Okay. Then we'll do it together this evening. So here's the front page that you will see. And as you see, you have various little buttons, allergies and asthma, that gives an educational, a brief educational introduction to the topics. And I'll try to either allergies or asthma, divided into 2 large categories. And as you see, you can click on either allergic rhinitis, allergy skin conditions, eye conditions, food reactions. Let's just go into skin conditions. And again, here is a little brief discussion of what allergic eczema, hives, and contact dermatitis is. Okay, good. Let's go back to the main page here. So again, there's a relief self-test that gives the patient a score on whether their allergies and asthma are under control. They find the allergist that links back to our main college site right now, and we can just sort of look there a little bit. We have to click on Find the Allergy Locator, and then it's a very simple interface. If I plug in my zip code and say I want 5-mile radius, it will find 2 allergists, and I'm one of those, and will map out the location. So it's quite a nice feature. This type of feature will obviously be maintained on our new site, and in some ways, well, in many ways, we hope to be enhanced. Patient support links to the various support organizations such as the Allergy and Asthma Network, Food Allergy Network. And then there is a podcast with Dr. Gower speaking, and he discusses some of the allergy topics as well. But we won't go there tonight. So this hopefully will be updated. Right now there is one newsletter, and this is issue number 1 that's published. What was emphasized as we went through the website development process for the college site is that you must have a renewing, you must have fresh material pretty much on a weekly or at least on a monthly basis so that people come back to your site. They don't forget you. And it's even nicer if you have some way that they can sign up for a reminder service or an automatic email to where you then can allow them to come back and to see what you have posted and to draw their attention to allergy care and your care as well. And so that will also be part of the ongoing development of this particular site. Now, this site is actually not physically linked to the current college site, but it is housed with the marketing agency that is doing this campaign. But eventually there will be a very seamless union of these two sites, or an integration, and that will be determined at some later date. It's interesting, the dynamics of driving the search engines to where you may actually reach more people with 2 separate sites than you would with one. And so that is part of the considerations we'll make as we move forward into this website development project. But for now, it is a separate site, and the information is all up to date on this site. That is a disadvantage of our existing college site, is that information has not been updated in several years, so that we really, in some ways, are a little bit embarrassed to even have it show up. So we have to update that. Let me just get forward here. I think I lost my place. And this is the existing website, which you've seen in photographs before, but it's getting a total makeover. And as we look at who's helping that, you'll see that our prior speaker, Dr. Billery, is also one of our website planning committee. I am trying to chair this committee, and we have some very fine people that are involved, and I've listed those. And as you can see, Jay Portnoy, who's also on our call, and Russell is also present. All these people have contributed very greatly to the development as we are just starting this process. Now, what is the vision for this new website? Pardon?
Yeah, you want to make a point, though, that you don't have to be a computer geek to be involved with redesigning the website, though. Anybody who has a vision for how to communicate is somebody who could potentially participate or at least contribute, right?
And that's very much the case. We ask for input from the various committees, and we had quite a bit of individual people make suggestions, and we did review as the committee would meet those ideas and tried to incorporate them within this initial request for proposal. And it's an evolving process. The website is not fixed. In fact, I came up with another idea I haven't even discussed with the committee yet, and that is, should we have a link that we click on that gives a Spanish translation? So again, as people who are listening to this webcast or podcast later on, if you have a new idea, it's not a finished product. It's evolving, so we would like your input, your suggestions, that we can make it better. The vision is to be the premier website for allergy, asthma, and immunology, to supersede all other sites, even WebMD, which drives much of the search engines and gets a lot of traffic. We want to be the go-to place for consumer resource for allergy, asthma, and immunology information. Certainly our vision is to increase the traffic. We have fairly low volume of traffic coming across when you compare us to other websites at the moment, and to improve the professional and consumer search result rankings. That's the nature of, obviously, of the internet game, is that you want to be high on the search engine. You want people to be able to find you. We want to improve the content. We want it to be timely. We want to be able to outreach across the entire site for committees and for other types of agencies that will be using this site, particularly within our own organization, our committees and our executive bodies that are working to lead us in the organization. We want to increase site promotion, integrate and have a consistent brand message, to deliver a consistent image, and this is important as we try to have not only a common theme, but a very similar type of backdrop and visual image that ties our various sites together. For example, the marketing consumer site that I mentioned with the college site. We even have a third site that just opened this week that have not had time to get a screenshot of, and that is a site that is a listing of commercial products that are available, giving you information on how you would look for those products and allow our consumers to have an easy door to those products. We want to deliver a scalable, maintainable foundation that allows constant refreshing of material without having to redevelop or reinvent the wheel. So we want to be able to modify it a year or two from now when the need arises. Now, our volunteer members, and this would be basically our entire membership, we want more member loyalty. I'm afraid that our website has been so outdated that our own members are being driven to other organizational sites to get the information that we should be providing. So we want to try to get that member loyalty back. We want to improve efficiency, effectiveness, and cohesiveness of our membership group. And then obviously we would like to appeal not only to our allergists but to other physicians, and to have more referrals both from patients as well as from other professionals to the allergists. The medical students, residents, and other medical specialties need to be aware of what we do. We need to reach out to them, and hopefully this new website will allow us to do that. We want to use a content management system that allows volunteers and staff to deliver the product in an easy way. At the current time, what we find is that many of our systems are inefficient, and there'll be duplication of, for example, membership lists. Interestingly, the referral base that we talked about on Find an Allergist is a separate database from the membership list. And so there's duplication, meaning that one is going to be perhaps a little bit outdated until someone has time to re-enter all those new entries or to make changes in that second database. So certainly we want a content management system that allows different levels of security. As you'll see in another slide, we want a fully functional membership list that you as a member with your sign-on, your username and password, can then look up most of the information on other members, including their email, how you contact them, perhaps information that they would not want to be available to the general public. So we want that to be a membership service. And to do so, we have to have a content management system that is doable and that works. The consumers, we want to improve delivery of information to them. And again, by constantly seeking their attention and giving them new content, making them aware of what the college and the allergist does. The expertise of the allergist will also be emphasized. And then we talked about the development of web-based tools. For example, perhaps a duplication, not a duplication, but using the example of the marketing site, which is the Asthma IQ type of questionnaire on control. I guess Asthma IQ would be more what is being emphasized with the academy, but with the college we have the questionnaire on how well controlled is your asthma and your allergies. Then using various tools like this to engage the patient, perhaps even having a children's section to where there are educational games that can be played online. So an engagement to drive traffic back to the site. And then to be able to analyze and to tabulate when we are successful so that we can develop more of those type of attributes. Now we want an intuitive and easy to navigate design. Certainly we want it to be visually appealing with an easy to understand layout. Quick load times and speedy operation is certainly required in today's age. No one's going to sit there until a long time for the page to load. We want a much improved search engine. We really have a very dysfunctional search engine at the current time. Google or Google-like is what our wish list included. And then we do need what we don't really have now, and that's various levels of security. The general public, then our membership, and certainly leadership and administrative staff will even need higher levels of security, perhaps a separate level for our committees, some of which could be open to the whole member, but some as they work on their individual projects may want a more secure level until that particular project is ready for public or even membership viewing. So again, this is an attribute that we are building into the system. We talked a little bit about already the management tools and being able to display and to pull out easily membership data, and that would be integrated with our Locate and Allergist would be integrated with the data system in general. We want a common login to where you can log in one place, and that will, as a member, get you into the committees that you are on, that will then also access the Annals site concurrently with our website development of the college site. The Annals is also undergoing a website redevelopment, and they are in full agreement that you can log in once and have access to both sites. So that is another item that we're working toward. We want a fully functional e-commerce system to where you could make purchases online for either videos or other products that you would be purchasing at the college store. And perhaps in the future, in phase 2 or 3, this would even include CME courses. if there's CME courses that have a price tag attached to them, you could use your credit card, you could purchase it, and then print out your certificate for CME. So again, that will be a little bit later phase. For members, we've already talked about the membership and the address. You would be able to go in, and as you change your phone number, you change your cell number, you change your email address, you would log in and make those changes in real time. So they would no longer have to wait for an administrative person or a secretary to go in and actually make those changes. It would be in real time. So we would always have an updated database with the most current information. And we would also have a way to engage prospective members. We want for the prospective members to see what we have to offer and increase membership, not only of our international members that have predominantly limited web access and annals access, but also our U.S. members. And I think we've talked pretty much about the consumers. We will want to provide updated medical information that is not included in the consumer-driven marketing side. And again, we are still struggling with what consumer information will be found on what we'll call the basic new college website and what would be found on the marketing side. But that will also involve a lot of medical writing and editing, because our information will basically have to be totally reworked and rewritten. We need to do so, and we need to develop the consumer end of the site in a way that does brand us and makes them aware that we are the leaders, and they'll want to come back and look for additional information when new questions arise. The business model has to work for all elements, not only our membership, but also our administrative staff and our leadership, so that we, again, have all the tools available. Ideally, all of our minutes, for example, for our Board of Regents and Executive Committee, the bylaws, all the administrative and archived data would be found here. I know Dr. Belanti was hoping to have, and I don't see any reason, I think it's a very easy matter, is to have one section that gives the history of the college. So that there's a page you go to and all the documents are archived, the photos and the older documents that enlighten our members as well as consumers about where we came from and how we've evolved. And I think this is an important part of that website. Now, we've already talked about the membership directory. We want a speaker directory as well. We want to enable some of those internet features such as flash, graphics, embedded photos, video. We want a calendar that is by region, event type, zip code, to where if you're looking for a conference to attend or you want to know what's going on, it's an easy way to find out. It would perhaps be a calendar that could download that directly to your Outlook so that it marks your calendar for those events, or even your BlackBerry or your iPhone, so that, again, you have it at fingertip touch. We also talked about the fact of trying to create an interface with our website that would easily work with a BlackBerry or with an iPhone so that you can be able to use the website no matter where you are, even if you're not sitting in front of your computer. Certainly event registration for all of our events, a wiki-type functionality. I know this is one of Jay's pet projects, is to hopefully evolve documents and educational materials that each person who reads the document and looks at the document can then modify the document to be more up to date and to improve it. Certainly there may need to be someone doing some editorial control over this, but we need a wiki-type functionality within our committees and within our document development. online surveys. We are currently using survey instruments such as SurveyMonkey, which can be embedded within our own website and allow us as committees to have easy access to surveying our membership, given the approval by the Board of Regents for particular topics, or even informally within our own committee. And instead of duplicating and increasing the cost of the development of the website, we talked about using the functionality of other pre-made websites, such as Basecamp. And in fact, we are using that within the website committee development. We also now have that available for the leaders and the officers, as well as committees within the college. So we are starting to reach out and use some of those other functionalities. Another example, as we've mentioned, is SurveyMonkey. Obviously, GoToMeeting we're using tonight. And for scheduling, Doodle is an excellent one. We want to use this captured within the website to enhance our functionality. We hope that all PowerPoints and EndNotes can be made to be uploaded to the website. I know now when you go for your CME, you go for your updating of your lectures and for presentation, if that lecture is too large or it contains too many visual images or videos, it will not upload properly. So there may need to be a third-party host or an FTP service that allows us to upload so that it can now be placed within that venue for lectures and for the development of handouts, hopefully which will be electronic as well. So where are we now? Well, we have a consultant, Dr. David Nicholson, who's worked with the committee as well as Jeff Kaiva of the college administrative staff. He is the IT person. And we have now developed the request for proposal. Those have been sent out for vendors' review. They are due back the end of this month. Within 2 to 3 weeks of that date, our website committee will review the recommendations made by Dr. Nicholson and then select a vendor. We will then submit the contract to the executive committee of the college for approval. And our goal is to have phase 1 of the website completed by June 19th, 2009. Now, before we move on to talk about the Joint Task Force, I'm going to stop right here and allow Lynn Billery and Jay and Russ to interject if they would like to, or for anyone else online to ask questions at this time.
This is Joe Belanti. Can you hear me, Dana?
Yes, I can.
I just wanted to tell you how impressed I am with the scope and magnitude of this whole enterprise. You and the committee have done a magnificent job. I have only begun to utilize a piece of this thanks to Jay Portnoy, and I've been really privileged to join in on his excellent conferences that are held on Mondays and sometimes on Fridays. And the beauty of that is all of the things that you mentioned, you can access these things even if, I try to get to all of the conferences, but if I'm tied up or out of my office or someplace, I can access and get the whole presentation with the discussion, which is magnificent because you not only see the slides and the animations that are being discussed, but also the discussion that's going on. And I think as we move into the future and get more participation, that's going to continually be an invaluable resource for education. That's only one piece. The other thing I'm glad you mentioned, because I was going to bring it up, but you already brought it up, as the historian of the college, I wrote the 50-year history of the college in my presidential address in 1992. And I've been working on updating that as time permits. to get all of the other historical aspects that went on since 1992. So we have already archived 1942, when the college was established, to 1992, a 50-year span, and now we're picking up, hopefully, the rest of it. And I quite agree with you, that should be online to let the membership and fellows and students and everybody else, residents and fellows, know where we are, where we came from, and how we came into being, and all of the wonderful, progress that's going on now with the internet and the computerization. I just have one stupid little technical question I'd like to ask either you, Dana, or Jay. For us old-timers, we're all learning now. I'm hooked up by telephone right now. I see by the board here, everybody else seems to be hooked up by the mic and speakers. Is that correct? Jay, Len, Billary, and
everyone. I'm on phone too, just because sometimes I would get the voice bounce back, and I was trying to avoid that. But
okay,
in general, yes, you can connect.
Well, my silly little question, Dana, is, I had been on the mic and speakers, and I was the culprit. I have to make a confession. When I went on telephone, that's where I started to botch up the back, the back noise, whatever it's called. Well, you can't have the telephone and the mics going on at the same time. You get interference, and that's
right.
what Jay was referring to. But my question is, when you're on the mic and speakers, well, you do need a microphone. Obviously, you can get the sound, but you need a microphone installed in order to communicate. Is that correct?
Well, the newer computers have those installed. Not all of the older laptops and computers do, but the newer laptops have it built in.
So you can actually do it without a microphone?
Correct. My new Apple has everything built in, the webcam, the speakers, the microphone, everything. I don't need anything else.
Oh, you're all equipped. Okay, I'll just have to look into that. But
I don't know. Jay may be able to answer which date, what the date is that which most of that became available within the laptops. Do you know, Jay?
Well, they're becoming more and more available, but I think they just started and they've slowly increased. The key thing to using a microphone is that you want to use a microphone with headsets, because if you have a headset on your head and can hear it without the sound getting to the microphone, then you can avoid the feedback. The feedback occurs if you have speakers on your computer, because there's a delay between when you talk and when the sound comes out. So that sound will then be picked up by the microphone and be fed back.
Right.
So that's why it recommends that you use a headset with a microphone rather than just using speakers.
Well, that's going to be an important thing, Jay, to in terms of how to use the system. I mean, all the wonderful things Dana's talking about, are great as the committee moves in that. But I think these simple little things, they're not so simple, but I think it's important for individuals that, are not familiar with all of this technology. But I just wanted to thank you very much for a really comprehensive presentation, Dana, and also you too, Len. I enjoyed your first lecture. I didn't get a chance to comment because I wasn't hooked up, but I just wanted to thank you, and I've really enjoyed this evening. This is tremendous.
Well, thank you. And I'm moving on, and we'll have a little bit more to present, too. I wanted to take the group and to record about the Joint Task Force of Practice Parameters. Composition, as is shown on the slide, 6 from the Academy, 6 from the college, 1 from the Joint Task Force, making up, obviously, a total of 13 members. And just because everyone likes pictures, speaking of pictures, with the new website, we can take snapshots and those pictures from the annual meeting or other conferences, and those can be stored on site. And everyone always wants to look at pictures, so that will drive members and non-members to the site as well. So I think the more visual image and human contact we can have on the site, the more likely people will come back and keep looking. So here's our Joint Task Force meeting in Chicago. We start out with the Joint Task Force, and then we create an idea for, in other words, a clinical problem or a clinical condition that we need to write the guidelines or give recommendations for. We then select one member of the Joint Task Force to be the liaison with the worker bees. And the worker bees are our work group. We have a chair and then usually about 4 to 10 members. And this work group integrates with the liaison. And then they develop what we call a draft practice parameter. That draft practice parameter goes back and forth between the liaison reviews and the members themselves meet on that Joint Task Force, and currently they're meeting a lot of teleconferences using GoToMeeting and some of those same internet tools to work section by section and then review as a unit the draft practice parameter. Once they have completed their review, it is then sent to the Joint Task Force for review. And this is going to be a back and forth process as the Joint Task Force goes line by line and word by word through this draft practice parameter. Once we reach what we feel a very complete format, it is then sent to either the college or the academy, or I'm sorry, it's sent to both, the college and the academy for review. And they appoint formal reviewers. Then once that has been completed, there's also a website posting to where we invite and encourage the entire membership of both organizations to review it. And I will guarantee you that we go over all of those comments as well before we reach a completed document. So once that document is completed, it is then submitted in a rotational basis to either the Annals or Jackie for publication. Many times the individual journal will also send out the publication for reviewers, and then it comes back to the Joint Task Force for a final revision before it is published. And this is an example of the recently published Rhinitis practice parameter, which I had the privilege of working on. Now here is the new website for the Joint Task Force. And there are various levels, and I want to take you there now. We have a level that is for the public at large. We do not have a separate created level for members only, but one that's for the public at large, including our members. And then we have one that is just for the Joint Task Force. And then we have a second site, actually there's like 3 versions, a second site that is for all of the work groups to where they can work on their projects. So as you are first going to the home page, you will see that we are showing you a little bit about each of the members of the Joint Task Force, and as you can see, their photographs are here. And then you also have a biographical sketch, and I'll just click on mine to show you. So we are allowing the public and our members to find out a little bit about who's working on the practice parameters. Well, I didn't know. I guess we've blocked out the biographical sketch. That's something we have to discuss whether we want to open that up. It's not opened at this point. Then this is the past members. And I would just share with you that we've started to, I think, do a very wise and very worthwhile endeavor, and that is to honor all of these past members. For example, next weekend in Florida, Dr. Mark Dykowitz will be coming for our meeting and will allow us to honor him as based on his contributions. And in association with the upcoming Academy meeting, 4 of our past members will be honored. So we are taking that move as we speak. This talks under information about what our practice parameters are, and perhaps more importantly, what they're not. They're not meant to tell you how you must practice. They're not meant to be legal documents. They're not even meant to be guidelines. They're meant to be advisory documents that give recommendations. We also discuss under this the categories of evidence. All of the statements, the summary statements, are graded according to, or first let's back up, all of the articles are graded according to their category of evidence. Then based on their category of evidence, all of the summary statements are given a strength of recommendation, A through F, based on the category of evidence, which is a 1A for a meta-analysis of randomized controlled studies, down to expert committee opinion, which would be level 4. And this is the publication policy. And then probably most importantly for those of you that have tuned in, is this is going to be the go-to place for all of the previously published practice parameters in their complete form. Jay has diligently worked on those older documents to scan in and to make available. And as you can see, we've sort of done it in reverse date order with the Rhinitis. So your full document is here. I'm not going to click on it because it's going to take a while to load. But you'll get your full parameter with at any time. So you don't have to go searching from this place to the other. As you know, some of the previously posted parameters on various sites were not complete. So we are striving to make it a very complete document. Now, in addition to the complete...
Anna, you might also mention that some of the practice parameters we're putting instant references to. They're just brief summaries of them that can be used as a single page or two that kind of summarizes the salient features of it. You can see some of the instant references are also cited there.
Okay, I'll click on one of those because that won't take too long to load. And this is for the immunotherapy, and that was a very good point to make. Let's see how long that takes to load.
I think Jay is referring to, Dana, as I understand it, is sort of an executive summary at the beginning of each practice parameter that summarizes.
No, that's not. No, this is different. This is like a 1 or 2 page. I'm loading one right now.
Okay, but it is a summary.
Right. So this is different. This is like something you would keep for particular. This is, for example, for diagnostic testing.
You can actually keep this in the clinic and use it to refer to the practice parameter. It's kind of a step-by-step how to do it type of thing.
Yeah.
This is a PDF file, so it actually does take a little bit longer to load because it's high quality. We have one on Russian cluster immunotherapy, and we're going to be developing one on hereditary angioedema. So you can have a single sheet that just tells you how to do it step-by-step.
The summary, yeah.
So I'm going to let that load because otherwise it's going to take too long. So I think that's one of the most useful features. The other thing that we're adding, and we don't have it opened up yet, I have uploaded the EndNote file for Rhinitis. And we hope that starting with Rhinitis and moving forth, all of these will have a full bibliography to where you can download your own library that has the abstract, it has everything that you need. Not the full article, unfortunately, but it has the abstract for all 900 references, for example, that are in the Rhinitis practice parameters, so you have an automatically built bibliography. So when you see a reference, you can say, oh, well, I want to get an abstract of that, and you have it immediately available. And that can be downloaded to your computer, and you can build on that, too. So you can take that and add your own references to it. So that is a goal, and it's actually, we're using it, but we don't have it open on this particular public site as of yet, and how to contact us if you need to. And then a very new section, pardon?
Excuse me, Dan, what are the total number of practice parameters that have been developed?
Oh, that's a good question. Jay, do you have that number on the tip of your tongue?
I know there's several.
Yeah, there's.
At
I
least-
have a list in a minute I'm going to come to.
Okay.
There's at least 15 to 18, but I can't tell you the number for sure.
All right. Thank you.
Now, this is a feature you may find very handy as we come across technology issues and how to do issues. We are placing documents here. For example, how to use EndNote, how to insert grades into EndNote, how to log on for those who have a log on to the Joint Task Force, how to open an EndNote library. And so, for example, with this EndNote, it doesn't take too long to load. So technological how-to,
Yeah, just kind of tutorials that tell you how to do it.
Right. So I think that will be very useful as well. Let me go back to, so I think that this is a website that hopefully will be very user-friendly and that you'll visit often to look up predominantly the practice parameters. And as I go back to the PowerPoint, I think the next slide will give you, there's listed the key, and I think this is all the practice parameters. I took it from the list of our progress. This is not the website that you would be signing into, but it shows you the status. And of course, we're working on the conjunctivitis, the environment. We're working on drug allergy and anaphylaxis, which will be soon to be published, as well as insect allergy and urticaria angioedema. So you'll get a status of when last published and when the targeted update and who the work group chair and liaison is. Another new item is the allergy pocket cards. We have them for diabetes and COPD. In fact, there's a dozen different ones. And we've now contracted with this agency to develop, for each new practice parameter, they will develop one of these laminated sheets. And it will be for dissemination to allergists, but also to primary care. So basically also be a marketing piece as well as an educational piece. And this particular company does it free of charge to us. And this is a joint effort by the Academy and the college. But they will then market this to pharmaceutical companies and encourage them to purchase them to give out to members. We've negotiated that they will give all of our fellows in training a free one. So each practice parameter will have an associated pocket card. And rhinitis is to be the first one. And then, again, just a plug to please be passionate in one area of allergy. Select the one area and be involved in that committee. Maybe it's the Women in Allergy Committee. Maybe it's the Drug and Anaphylaxis Committee. Maybe it's the Adverse Reactions to Food Committee, Rhinitis and Sinusitis, Women's Health, Women in Allergy. And remember what Dr. Seuss told us all too well. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not.
Oh, that was
so now
amazing,
we're open
Dana.
for any additional questions that anyone would like to ask.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing.
Dana,
I'm just astounded by all of the stuff that you've done.
I'm tired just listening to it.
It's a tremendous
I have to get
amount
back
of work
to get
that's
up
been
at
put into
4 in the
this.
morning. But Dana, where did you get the data for the confidence in the various components of the United States? I mean, from military down to medical down to
I pulled that off the web this afternoon. I was looking for some graphics to sort of emphasize, the CME importance, and as we move forth with this financial crunch and everything, how more and more online is going to be the effort. And I just pulled that off the internet. I can try to come up with that reference point, but if you just Google medical education graphics, I think you'll find it.
I was just curious if they had over time, how there's been an erosion of confidence in the medical profession. And
this just did 2 years, so it really didn't show us that.
Okay. Because obviously during the Vietnam era, the military was not that high.
Right. I think that the years that this emphasized was 2006 and 2007, if I recall correctly.
All right.
Dana, when is the Joint Task Force website coming up? Is it being worked on, did you say?
Well, no, what I showed you tonight is available right now.
It is available.
It is, yes.
I see.
We are adding to it all along. And as I said, the EndNote portion isn't, it's there, but it isn't open.
Yeah, I've just never accessed it. This has been very helpful, Dana. And I think this this conference is going to be archived, Jay?
Absolutely. It'll be available as a video podcast.
So that would be wonderful because, you know, this is how you expand this educational experience that Dana has given us. And that should be probably put into the newsletter, you know, for people that, you know, want to hear this that weren't in on the call. I think it's a great, this whole thing is very, very exciting.
And Joe, the website's just www.allergyparameters.org.
Allergyparameters.org. Thank you.
This has been an ACAAI production. To learn more about Conferences Online Allergy or the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology, go to www.acaai.org. See you next time.